What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another highly combustible reaction. We're jumping in the next one on our Just Icelandic journey. Get over and show all the love in the world. We already subbed up. We already smashed the like button. Visit Húsavík, the whale-watching Eurovision capital of Iceland. It's coming at us from Siggy. Much, much love. I definitely appreciate the request. Let's go. I love seeing your countries. It's as simple as that. I love learning about different cultures, different people, and different ways of doing things. It's not the regular American way to think. That's what I'll say.
Hello, and feel free to join me as I'm visiting one of my favorite towns in my home country, Iceland. But my name is Gylfi, and welcome to Húsavík, or as the local people call it, the Eurovision capital of the world.
We have a special treat for you if you'll indulge us. We'd love to play for you our submission for this year's Eurovision Song Contest.
We start the journey with a map. Húsavík is the largest town in the vast northeastern region and the home of 2,500 people. The town is situated by a bay called Skjálfandaflói. That means the shaking bay, due to an active fault that runs through the bay and the Tjörnes Peninsula almost straight through the town. So this is one of the best places in Iceland to see the mid-Atlantic plate boundaries on dry land, and furthermore, the Tjörnes Peninsula is also known for its many mysterious fossil layers, and just by Húsavík we find a tiny spot that's known by geologists all over the world. Large field examinations have been conducted in the area, and there is now evidence that some of the fossils are indeed species that can only survive in waters that is significantly warmer than the ocean surrounding Iceland. So there is more to this region than meets the eye.
That means that there's still creatures out there in that ocean. That's what I'm going to say.
It's a place of geological wonders wherever we look. And I'm leaving a link to my video about the plate boundaries. The ground displacement near town is very obvious. And where there is energy in the ground, it's where people settle and stay. And the history of Húsavík can be traced back to the year 860, when the Swedish Viking Garðar Svavarsson sailed into a storm and drifted north until he reached the eastern coast of Iceland. He circumnavigated the island, found of course plenty of options, but his first choice was to build a house in this little bay, thereafter been called Húsavík. That means a bay with houses. And Garðar stayed there one winter, then returned to Sweden, bragging about this land he found, but he named it after himself, Garðarsholmi. But that name did obviously not stick to Iceland. But Garðar's name can however be found all around, like the main street in town is called Garðarsbraut or Garðars Street. And the local search and rescue team is called Garðar as well. So even though he didn't get to name our country, his name is still around here. And Húsavík is the first known Viking settlement in Iceland. But like other villages, it grew from the harbor and the fishery industry. It was one of the trading posts during the Danish trade monopoly period. But what made this town a bit different was the sulfur industry. Stories of sulfur mining in Iceland go back all the way to the 13th century, but the 16th century was in a way the Klondike years. All attempts to mine sulfur since then have failed, and it's believed that the mines were more or less emptied back then, and they were in fact just scraping up the leftovers well into the last century. But sulfur was mined widely around Lake Mývatn, and the farmers brought it here on horses to be cleaned with fish oil and then smelted before export. Húsavík didn't grow into a full-size town though until the late 18th century. It gained the rights as a municipality in 1950 and then merged into the Norðurþing municipality. And
love that Just Icelandic doesn't just say, oh, here's this town, here's this town. You get like the whole history of the area. We get that information that we want to know more about. This is a phenomenal way to learn about different places. 100%. If you want to learn more, definitely go show Just Icelandic all the love in the world. Yes, I'm enjoying it.
That covers a vast area with extremely good and strong tourist attractions like the Dettifoss waterfall.
That is a freaking huge waterfall. Either that or this just a playing in my mind.
And a new road there is helping a lot with tourism. Then
No,
we
that
have
thing is
Húsavík nearby.
huge.
Legend has it that it is the footprint of Sleipnir's horse, but the geologists say that it is from a huge flood
But the geologists say
that carved out this formation, washed out all the rocks. So we can't even find one boulder from that huge event that in many ways still remains a mystery. Another new road across the Tjörnes Peninsula opened up just a few years ago when a geothermal power plant opened up at a place called Þeistareykir, and now in 2022 yet another road from Þeistareykir made it possible to drive from the power plant to Lake Mývatn, or yet another first-class plate boundary road that opened up many good round-trip options. But as for tourism, this large municipality deals with the odd fact that for the most part it's not by Iceland's highway number 1, or the so-called Ring Road, not even Húsavík. But even so, summer tourism is strong around here, but winter tourism is still very hard. But that might change though. The main obstacle used to be a mountain pass between the northeast region and Akureyri, the capital of northern Iceland. But a tunnel project solved that a few years back. So Húsavík is only 60 minutes away from an international airport now. And I have been telling the folks up north to go after the Northern Light tourist market due to the fact that we have so little light pollution up north. But it is a huge problem.
it's so gorgeous.
And then they have...
I know for people that live there, it's just a normal thing. But for people that have never seen it, even just seeing it on video, it's a magical thing. Like when you get to see things all the time, the magic and wonder kind of goes away from it. They're just like, oh yeah, it's the Northern Lights. They're there all the time. Like for the rest of the world, it's like, oh, I want to go see the Northern Lights. Why not go in the winter time?
And sightseeing spots, or pretty much as good as it gets here in Iceland. And
we got electric blankets.
Vast lava fields of all shapes and sizes by the plate boundaries. So Húsavík would gain some fame during the 1960s when NASA used areas nearby to train their astronauts for the Apollo missions. But we don't have to go far from the town to find the lunar landscape, like by Lake Mývatn, where we have formations like this and this. The field trips were intended to further the astronauts' understanding
that is wicked
of geology
landscape
in preparation for collection of samples from the moon. And I was actually having a coffee with an old Icelandic pilot the other day, but he was flying Neil Armstrong around back then and telling me stories from those days. But Iceland is a very small world, even though it became a part of the moon missions. And a local businessman used this bit of history as an attraction and managed to gather lots of NASA stuff, even a moon rock, and made this fine exhibition in town. But it wasn't a good business model on its own, so that exhibition is on hold, as far as I know. But
I
the town
think it's
has
an
a
awesome
history
thing.
of people who dare to do something differently. Like before the Apollo exhibition, there was this penis museum in that same building. It contained a collection of more than 200 penises, and it's today
We just got them in the jars like this, huh?
famous museum. But
What is that ginormous thing? I don't
located
even want to
in
know.
Reykjavík.
I don't even want to
Again,
know.
Since the market here wasn't all that big, so they have this tendency around here to come up with ideas. But Húsavík is perhaps best known for whale watching. It's marketed as the whale watching capital of Iceland, with a 98% success rate when it comes to finding them, or as good as it gets. 12 species of whales can be seen around here,
Wow.
making this into the best place in Iceland for whale watching, which is this very growing industry, and nowhere as important as right here. So there is always plenty to see by the harbor. Boats coming and going, restaurants,
A
people.
lot of other places like, oh, we're going to go see the humpback whales. We're going to go see the killer whales. We're going to go see this or that. They're just like, we're going to go and we're going to see whales, like every species of whale.
Wandering around. And this is also a great place for summer solstice photography. And we are only an hour away from the northernmost part of Iceland. And lots of the footage I'm showing you now was shot late evening when I get this hard light from a low sun during this fantastic time when I can stay out all night. And the Húsavík harbor is one of a kind with the old boats and overall just this very photogenic scenery. And it's believed that a church has been at this spot since the 13th century. This church is from 1907 and it is the town's most famous landmark, and it's easy to see why. Buildings of this kind can play a major role when it comes to promoting the town, but the biggest promotion that this town has ever got is of course the Netflix Eurovision movie, The Story of Fire Saga, that was partially shot here in 2020.
Fire Saga is in! Fire Saga is in!
And there we are into a whole new story that starts with the fact that Iceland started to participate in Eurovision in 1986, and we were always so optimistic. We were destined to win this thing. If not this year, surely it must be next year. But it has never happened. But we tried so hard. Here we can see empty Reykjavik streets in 1986, telling you a bit about this strange phenomena, the Icelandic Eurovision adventure, and the disappointment year after year. We did come close to winning though, with this young girl, but never the first place. We Icelanders, this little nation in the middle of the Atlantic, tried so hard to sing our way into the hearts of Europeans. We sent literally all our finest singers.
This is my life.
We sent all of them.
I don't wanna change a thing.
And when that didn't work out, we sent the other singers.
I love you, my European children.
But that didn't work out either.
That was a harsh crowd.
And as the years went by, we allowed ourselves to have some humor about this, our losses. So today, Eurovision is this fine excuse to get drunk, browse through some of our old songs on YouTube and have a laugh, wherever we end up on the scoreboard that year. And there is a Eurovision section on my channel with mini documentaries covering all Icelandic songs from 1986. So I'm leaving a link for that playlist. But anyhow, the Netflix scriptwriters must have had some idea about this story. So they made this movie where they play around with Iceland's participation history in Eurovision. And Will Ferrell and Pierce Brosnan came to Húsavík with the Netflix crew. But the storyline covers yet another failed Icelandic attempt to win Eurovision. So it's a comedy built on bitter truth. And it turned out to be a very popular movie. It got good ratings, but most importantly, Húsavík
I have not
has
seen the
never
movie.
before got such a promotion as a tourist destination. So I am giving this movie appropriate space in this video. It is now possible to go on movie location tours in the town. This house will always be called the Eurovision house from now, and there is another Eurovision house up on the Cape where they shot this scene from where I'm cutting into my own video when I was there the other day enjoying the midnight sun or the 10 hours of the golden hour during some of the best days. And this house by the harbor.
10 hours of the golden hour. That is amazing for photographers. My God, the things that you could do with all of that time.
Was made
When the lighting is right all the time.
to
Come
look
on.
like a bar where this legendary phrase came into being.
Hey Lars, get back in there right now and play Yaya Ding Dong!
So after the movie release in 2021, it became clear that the local people were going to keep the Eurovision party going and make the most from the free promo. Of course, at first, a new bar opened up by a local hotel named after one of the songs in a movie, or this adventure was just starting, since the movie was nominated for an Oscar for the best song in 2021, or the song My Hometown, which is of course all about Húsavík.
In my hometown,
That beautiful love song was perfectly performed by Molly, and before the Oscar ceremony, she came to Húsavík to record this with the local kids, or a new music video. And yet another beautiful scene from Húsavík caught the attention of millions.
Húsavík, við skjámandar í heimabæri minn.
She visited the church as a surprise for the organist.
Oh, Lord. She got me choked up a little bit, legit.
The townspeople made their own video with a local guy called Oscar.
Góðan daginn. My name is Óskar Óskarsson. Welcome back to Húsavík, the most beautiful town in the world. Soon, maybe not anymore, the only Oscar in town. That's why I'm preparing a huge welcoming party. I am working day and night, and I also have a fancy new outfit. People in Húsavík, you are invited to a big Oscars party at April 25th.
And more than less, all Icelanders were very hopeful that finally we were in for the big one. We didn't win Eurovision, but what the heck, we are going after the Oscar with this great song, and even some of the lyrics were written in Icelandic. So during the Oscar ceremony, the townspeople dressed up like they were going to the ceremony
That's
themselves.
freaking
And like in
fantastic.
Eurovision, nothing could go wrong. Our big bonus from our participation in Eurovision was coming in the form of an Oscar statue. And the townspeople were already planning to make a big replica of the Oscar statue by the harbor, and even a bronze statue
Oh, no.
of the singer.
Oh,
So
no.
all the old Eurovision dreams popped up in a big way, and during the midnight, it happened.
And the Oscar goes to her, Durst Emil.
He managed to lose yet again. And after the worst shock, as usual, we had a lot of fun. And I'm very sure that the townspeople will
that's
design
horrible.
their own Oscar statue by time. It's that kind
They
of
deserve something. They do.
Everyone was ready to have some fun with this and make the most from the movie. And the song, of course. And the Eurovision adventure didn't stop there. The Jaja Ding Dong Bar took the concept and the movie a step further just recently. They made some phone calls and sent some emails and gathered the clothing and the stage props from artists who participated in Eurovision, not just Icelandic artists, and they made
Oh,
this into a
that's
fine exhibition
freaking awesome.
covering the history of Eurovision, and it is the only such exhibition in the world. It also includes many props from the Eurovision movie, since Netflix was so kind to help them out. And they even have a elf house replica outside, like the one in the movie. So the movie left the town with many great opportunities, and I know that Húsavík deserved them. And they say that the song, My Hometown, is in a way the new national anthem of Húsavík. The movie is all about the underdog reaching for the stars, but in reality, the true backstory is just a small Icelandic town, close by the Arctic Circle, trying to do the same with some whales and Northern Lights, far away from the mainstream tourist market.
It is beautiful.
And this chance with
Extremely
Netflix
beautiful.
shot this little town to the stars, where it will be remembered for a long time. And if Iceland continues to have bad luck in Eurovision, it is only going to be good for the town. Or a continuation of the movie, endless promo from the endless unluck. And before I finish this Eurovision chapter,
Endless
I have to
promotion of
mention
our
this,
endless
bus
unluck.
stop in Húsavík. But the thing is that there isn't any bus service there. This is just a replica of the bus stop in the movie. But the original bus stop, movie prop, belonged to the football field. And the football guys wanted it back. So it's down there, just by this good campsite that sits by the so-called Húsavíkurfjall, or the Húsavík mountain. And it is noticeable that it's turning blue now. And it's the lupine that's doing this. And here in Iceland, people either love it or hate it. And the reason is that this is an invasive plant that was imported from Alaska a few decades ago. We were told back then that the lupine would do its job for like 20 years, make some ground for other vegetation that would then take over little by little. But that is not always the case. So they
It's
are trying to
beautiful,
cut
but I can
some
also see
parts of
hating
the
it because
fields
it's
anyway.
invasive.
But it's a struggle. And some of the local people have been saying, our mountain is not supposed to look like this, blue. It's not natural. But others say it's better than rocks and gravel. So this is just the Icelandic
I can see both
mentality
sides of the
in
argument
general.
as an
We tend
outsider.
to take things to the extreme, like when we plant trees and the forests grow into this, or like when we participate in Eurovision. But we might learn to find some balance someday. We hope so. But it is possible to drive up on this mountain on a Jeep, and it's a fantastic view from there. So I highly recommend it. But apart from
Oh,
the
yeah,
tourist
we would
industry,
definitely go to the
Húsavík
top of that
serves
mountain.
dairy farmers, sheep farmers, and it is a fishing port, of course. There are quite many stores in town. They have a whale museum. And as I was driving around, I noticed the people sitting outside by at least 4 places, drinking beer and such. And I was thinking it's really not that many places in Iceland where you can go wandering between bars and restaurants. So it's very lively there. And I'm leaving a link for the very good webcams that they have. So you can just see it for yourself. And the reason for how successful they have been tells also a story about many other towns in Iceland. If there aren't any people around with ideas and ambition to make them into something, like a whale-watching capital, Eurovision capital, or whatever, things just won't happen by themselves.
This is true.
Here we fly over the Jaya.
Gotta have that community pride.
Symbolizes Eric from the movie, who had the far-fetched dream to compete in Eurovision. But like him, the local people here took it all the way and ended up with one-of-a-kind exhibition that is truly a winner when it comes to tourist alternatives and entertainment. And this is why Húsavík is one of my favorite towns. It's a beautiful town on a peninsula which holds millions of years in its back pocket on this ruptured land that people always return to, no matter what kind of natural disasters struck in the past. The people always returned. So this is a place with a soul, loved by generations. And I know that I've started to sound a bit like a tourist brochure, which is in general not my plan. And even though I prefer to have something going on around me, like in Húsavík, I also love to go to the wilderness, like when I'm time-lapsing in the midnight sun. And the northeast region is one of the best places on earth for that. Wales, Eurovision, spectacular nature, plate boundaries. Húsavík is the center of all that and more. And my journey will of course continue. Still many towns to cover. And please remember to click on like for what you like or subscribe for my upcoming work. And you can also support my work directly as presented in the video description, as I'm thanking you for taking this tour with me in my home country, Iceland.
It is so much more than a tour when it comes to Just Icelandic. It is a tour/history lesson. You always walk away knowing a little bit more about a place. Knowing that a place exists. Like seriously, I've learned about so many new places through YouTube and through all of your requests. It's just like, wow. it makes you want to visit them all. Is what it makes you want to do. Especially some of the northern countries. You guys are so damn magical up there. I really do feel like it could be fairies and elves running around. 100% get over and show Just Icelandic all the love in the world. We're already subbed up. We've already smashed the like button. You go do your part. The link's in the description. Till the next one, I'm highly combustible. You guys be happy, healthy, safe. But let me to the moon and back. Peace.